Grab your favorite alcoholic or non-alcoholic beverage, drink responsibly, do not drink and drive, and join us for the latest episode of Why Complain When You Can Whine. Everything in this podcast is purely for entertainment and psychoeducational purposes only. Enjoy! Welcome to Why Complain When You Can Whine, making sense of the senseless. Join us as, although today, honestly, I really don't know if I can make any sense of I am very emotional today. I'm very passionate about this. I am very angry. I am Dr. Jody Larman, licensed clinical psychologist. I do not have any alcohol with me, although I would love a drink, but it is morning and I have to pick up my son from school in a little bit, so no alcohol, but yeah.
And I am Brienne, or Brie Boy, up in Vancouver, BC, Canada, also licensed therapist. Um, yes, there's much to talk about and much to be in disarray about. So why don't you start, Dr. Lemon?
So I live in Los Angeles, and if I know a lot of people might not be aware of, they might not live in the country, but all over the place. Canada sent us firefighters. Thank you, Canada. Mexico sent us firefighters. Thank you, Mexico. But if you've been around the news at all, you can't help but hear about the fires in Los Angeles. I am in Los Angeles. It's in the suburbs of Los Angeles. It is where I live. So I'm going to say right now, I am fine. We are safe. But I want to tell my story because even if you didn't lose anything, you lived this. And my heart, I cry when I hear about the thousands of homes and people that are now homeless and the animals. There are so many because it happened, a lot of the fires in horse country, and there were a lot of rescues. So there were a lot of people are still looking for their animals and places for their animals. And so I'm going to tell you what my experience has been, and then I'm going to tell you why I'm so angry. But it's very, I've never been so disgusted by humanity right now. No, I'm not going to say humanity, by the conservatives, by the Republican Party, by MAGA. And they are very easy to disappoint me very quickly, but this goes above and beyond anything. So my heart goes out to those who have lost everything because I can't even imagine. I don't care how much money you have. Your house is your home. I've lived in my home almost all my life. I've lived here 50 years. This is the house my parents raised me and my siblings in. This is the house, excuse me, my husband and I lived in. This is the house I raised my son in. I can't imagine losing this. It's not about losing the material things. It's about losing your home on top of everything else. The material things, yes. So a lot of celebrities lost their homes, and you have people saying, so they have money. They can buy new ones. I don't feel for them. So that's probably not even their only home. And some of these celebrities have lived in their homes for 50 years, for 40 years. Billy Crystal, I think, was one who's lived there for almost, I don't know, 50 years. And so it's not about the material things. And when you have people saying, so what? We don't care. It's like, no one's asking you to care, but just keep your mouth shut. Because unless you've been through it, I can't even imagine losing my home, all of my memories. So my heart breaks for these people. On Tuesday night, they had told us there was going to be a big wind event. And it's always windy where I live. It is so windy. In all the years I've lived here, one time it was so windy that when I was leaving for work, I looked in my backyard and there was a big gazebo. Someone's big ass gazebo was on my lawn. And I'm like, oh, I have no idea where it came from. I'm not moving it, but somewhere during the day, someone moved it. I've had shingles from my roof. I've had to get a new roof because they've blown off. The little turbine that goes on your attic, it was in my neighbor across the street's driveway. We've had trees fall down. It gets very windy here. I've had gone through so much patio furniture. I finally learned not to buy glass patio furniture, glass topped, when one night I just heard my table go flying into the wall and shatter. This time I found a men's sock underneath my pool heater or pool equipment pipe. One man's sock. So whomever lost a sock, I threw it away. You're going to have to buy a pair. But it gets really windy here. So they said there was going to be a wind event. And, they're always kind of hyping things up, and they're not as bad as they say. And they said there was going to be a Hurricane Hillary a couple years ago. The wind was nowhere near as bad as it was that they said it was going to be, and that as it was on a regular day. So I tied up all my furniture anyways, just to make sure. I don't want any flying projectiles of mine to hurt anyone. I put everything on the side of the house, took everything down. And then Tuesday wasn't so bad. So I'm thinking, yeah, it's going to be another one of those. Tuesday night, all hell broke loose. Tuesday night was the windiest where I live. The winds were 75 miles an hour to 99 miles an hour gusts. Someone clocked, a fireman clocked. 75-mile-an-hour winds. Those are hurricane force winds. I've lived here again all my life, and this is the first time that I was really scared. My windows were shaking. The house was shaking. And the Hertz fire started. The Hertz fire, it was in Sylmar. Now, it was started at and was following the path of the Saddle Ridge fire from 2019. The Saddle Ridge fire from 2019 ended right above my house, the intersection where the freeway is by my house. Historically, all the fires that come down end right about there. They've gone across the street a couple times, but they've cleared all that brush, and so that's fine. So I usually don't worry. We've never had to evacuate, and there was only one time when my son was an infant or like 1 year old or whatever, where there was a possibility. So my friend told me to get my stuff together just because I'm a single mom with a young kid. But otherwise, we've never had to evacuate. But the Hearst fire and the winds, there were embers blowing for miles. And if you watched, then the Palisades fire was going on and the Eaton fire was going on. And if you saw any of those with the embers, it was scary. So I was texting with my friends till about 2 a.m. At one point, it got eerie quiet, no wind, nothing. And it was kind of strange. And my friend said, it's like the eye of the hurricane. And then it started up again with a vengeance. So I did not sleep at all on Tuesday night, because every time the wind would blow, it's like, is it going to blow this fire over here? Because that's what it does. That's what historically it's always done.
We have a lot of forest fires up where I live, so I know.
Yeah. And the path it kind of normally takes. So Tuesday morning, my friend had texted me from Hollywood and said, if you need to evacuate, you can come here. Well, by Wednesday, they somehow got it to where it didn't get structures. They kept it away from everything somehow, thank God. So it was like, okay, we don't have to evacuate. Fight or flight can kind of calm down. And then the Hollywood fire started. And I had texted my friend because he was right next to the evacuation area. And I said, if you need to evacuate now, you can come here. And he's like, we're putting our stuff together just in case. So during that night was again another, what's going to happen? Where is it going to go? Thursday morning, they got the Hollywood fire out. So my friend didn't have to. He was fine. He was home. Thursday morning, another fire started by me called the Archer fire. And I was on the phone with my friend and I said, okay, if they evacuate, they've already put a warning out to the area above me about a mile away. If that goes into evacuation, they're going to put the area right above me that's always that they've always evacuated to under warning. We're next. The freeway is typically a break. It won't be a break this time. Not with the way the winds are going. The freeways were not doing anything. The winds were horrible. So my friend, she's like, you can come to my house. My Hollywood Hills friend said, you can come here. So we're playing evacuation potential tag. And right when I hung up from my friend, the warning that went into evacuation, and then the warning came down to right above us. So that point, I told my neighbors, because we have a text thread, and I said, look, we have historically never had to evacuate. This wind event is a lot different. So you might want to just keep an eye out, because if that goes into evacuate, we're going into warning. So get your stuff together now. But the fact that we've never evacuated, don't panic, don't worry, just kind of put your stuff together. I put all our stuff together. The other night I got the suitcases out, and my son like panicked. I said, no. This is just to have it by. We're not going anywhere. We're fine. So now, once again, we're getting stuff together. I have my things together for the Archer fire. Thank God they knocked that shit down really fast. I mean, you could hear the aerial going by, and they knocked that one down. So they downgraded that. So it's like, okay, we're out. We're fine now. So imagine your fight or flight you're just stuck in fight or flight after a while. So that was about 1 o'clock. I'm working at 4 o'clock. LA County accidentally, but we didn't know this at the time, sent out there's a fire in your area, get ready to evacuate now message. And I looked at it and I'm like, I'm working. I have a client in a couple minutes, but I had a feeling, because I get the specific ones from the fire department as well, and I hadn't gotten one yet. But my son comes running down and he shows me the phone, and I'm like, it's okay. We're fine. I said, look, I'm in sweats and fuzzy socks. We're not going anywhere. Because also, as my son is on the spectrum, as a single mom, he gets his cues from me. So if I'm panicking, he's going to panic. So I said, we're not going anywhere. And then, but I told my client, just in case, just letting you know that I just got this. Yes, they sent out something. I never got it, but they sent out a retraction saying, no, we sent that out to everyone. That was a mistake. Okay, fine. So again, your fight or flight is coming down. That night, it's like, okay, I get to sleep. I get a nice sleep. 4 a.m, another evacuation notice. A fire's in your area. You need to evacuate now. 4 a.m. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So I did what all old people do, and I went on Facebook, because on Facebook, there's some groups that I'm in for the neighborhoods, and no one was posting anything yet. So I'm like, what the hell? I don't know what's going on. So I went onto the Firewatch app. It's called Watch Duty. I'm going to bring that up in a minute again. And I'm zooming in, and they do it by zones. So it's like, I don't know what zone I'm in. So I put my glasses on, I'm searching through the map. I'm like, no, the evacuation areas, we're here. So they're around us. We're fine. There's no fire. And then I went back on Facebook, and then people were saying they got the notice too, and there's no fire. But between 4 and 4:30 in the morning, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should wake my son up if we're going to go. I don't know what's going on. So I finally got to bed at 4:30. They sent another one out at 8:30. And so you're like, I'm really glad they have these notifications. But after a while, it's like a cry wolf thing.
Well, no kidding.
Which one do I listen to? So the 8:30 one was wrong as well. But luckily, knock wood, no more fires. And this is how much it impacts, even if you're not going anywhere or doing anything. My son, again, I was folding laundry, and I called him in yesterday to come and get his laundry, and he comes running in. And I go, you just have to pick up your laundry. And he goes, oh, I thought you were going to tell me we have to book it. I'm like, no. We are fine. We're fine. But that's how it's been here. And we haven't even had to evacuate. So I can't even imagine the people that have. And tomorrow, or 4 a.m, tomorrow, there's supposed to be it's a red flag warning. It's really windy out now as well, but there's supposed to be another red flag. We're in the potential danger zone again that the Weather Service has indicated. And what I'm so angry about, and this is why I really, really wanted to do this on the podcast, is the response from the right. The response from Donald Trump are as of Monday next week, next president, this is one of the things that he said in the very beginning of the fire was, ah, I had this all queued up and I put up the wrong one. So sorry. Please bear with me because yeah, this has been so hectic. Okay. So Trump said right off the bat, Governor Gavin Newsom, because he's a child, governor, and he thinks he's so clever by calling him Newscum. I hate to tell him, but a lot of people on the right in California have called him that for a while. Even then, it's juvenile and stupid. But you have a president of the United States calling a governor by a childish slur. Governor Gavin Newsom refused to sign the water restoration declaration put before him that would have allowed millions of gallons of water from excess rain and snow melt from the north to flow daily into many parts of California, including the area that's burning. Currently burning in a virtually apocalyptic way. He wanted to protect an essentially worthless fish called a smelt by giving it less water. It didn't work, but didn't care about the people of California. Now the ultimate price is being paid. I will demand that this incompetent governor allow beautiful, clean, fresh water to flow into California. He is to blame for this. On top of it all, no water for fire hydrants, not firefighting planes, a true disaster. That is false. All of that is false. And yet, everybody on the right has picked it up.
Of course.
And what kind of a president, again, this is a tragedy. This is horrible. The firefighters, he said, fire is spreading rapidly for 3 days. Zero containment. Nobody has ever seen such failed numbers before. Gross incompetence by Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, our mayor. And Biden's FEMA has no money, all wasted on the Green New scam. LA is a total wipeout. Representative Warren Davidson, a Republican from Ohio, said he believes Congress should withhold disaster relief funds for California in the wake of devastating Los Angeles wildfires until environmental policy changes are made by the state government. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Our income taxes, I'm sorry, California is the 5th largest economy in the world. Our income taxes are what's holding up the red states, Mississippi, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia. The bottom 13 states in poverty, one is a purple state, that's New Mexico. But we're the ones in California funding them. And now they want to withhold money. Biden has already said 100% of the relief effort is going to be covered. Mm-hmm. But they want to withhold money because they don't like California politics. Elon Musk, the actual president-elect, said there is an app called Watch Duty. Watch Duty app is a volunteer. A man started it in Santa Clara, and he's not a tech bro. He's, he just knows technology. And it's a bunch of firefighters, reserve firefighters, former firefighters, volunteers, and all that feed back and forth all the information about fires. And so a lot of people have been using the app, and the app is one of the most popular apps out here. So he posted, let's see. He posted on X, reposted one of Donald Trump's Truth Social posts blaming Governor Gavin Newsom for having no water for fire hydrants, no firefighting planes. Watch Duty replied, sorry to burst your bubble, but there aren't enough men, women, or equipment to deploy enough water to stop wind-driven fires like this. Why don't you take some of that go to Mars money and actually help rather than Monday morning quarterbacking during a live fire? And then Musk, along with President-elect Trump and a host of right-wing personalities, had laid blame for fires on wokeism and California's diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. DEI means people die, Musk posted on Wednesday. In a now deleted post, he agreed with conspiracy theorist Alex Jones's claim that the fires are part of a globalist plot to wage economic warfare and deinstitutionalize the United States.
Of course, conspiracy theory 101.
What the fuck? We have had six fires going at the same time. In
But Jo-
hurricane, huh?
but Jody, it's Musk and Trump who are perpetuating to this is exactly what they do. They speak to the most delusional, conspiracy-driven morons in the US, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what keeps perpetuating this absurdity.
In a time like this in tragedy, I mean, the comments from people all over, I'm not even on social media during this whole time because I can't handle it. I keep seeing videos though of animals,
I know, honey, I know.
firefighters taking animals they're coming out of the forest, like bobcats and deer and fox and all of that. And they're scared. And I'm just like, it like, makes me cry. But 16 people, I think they've determined maybe 24 people so far have died
Mhm.
in this fire.
Yep.
Thousands and thousands of homes and
Yeah.
businesses.
Mhm.
And two of them are not even, the Hearst fire is, I think, like 86%, I think they said, controlled. The Palisades fire is 14% contained. The the Eaton fire is, I think, 35% contained. But when you have hurricane force winds and what are they called? Fire tornadoes going on and embers going everywhere. Eaton especially was in horse country, and you just see the horses, they're all leading horses out, and there's just embers. There's nothing but embers. So I'm seeing, but so when someone sends me a social media post and I look at the comments, and even on Facebook, the comments of let it burn. These people deserve this. You know that there's people in North Carolina that are still freezing and fuck California. And it's like, I really, 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 really want to stop paying federal taxes.
I bet you do. I bet you do. The diversity that's been created since this person has been reelected for the second time. I was sitting beside a woman I met the other day getting my nails done, and uh, she was so cute. She was older, and we just got into chatting, and it turns out that my cousins went to school with her kids, private school, and she mentioned she's Jewish. And, she comes from a fairly wealthy lady, just most unbelievably humble. And then she said, my mother used to tell me, my mother and my father survived the Holocaust. And my husband and I moved over here from Europe and didn't know much about North America and culture and different things. And we put our kids into a private school. And she's like, it's all just money, it's such bullshit. And she starts talking about different political and economical type ordeals. But she said, my mother always used to say, mark my words, another Hitler is coming and it will happen. It is going to happen. It is going to happen. And she said, if people are still in denial, she said, I used to think my mom was crazy. I'd be like, oh, ma, 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 ma. And she's like, she was right.
Yes.
I thought she was crazy, but she is bang on. And I said, yes, she is. And it's
It
just so,
it is such a slap in the face. I mean, when you're again, this is not the tragedy Olympics. That's what when people are like, there's people in North Carolina, there's people in Tennessee. And I asked one person, I said, this has nothing to do with that. It's not the tragedy Olympics.
there's
No
nothing
one wants to win.
There's
Yeah,
no, you don't need to compare a tragedy to as like a trauma. You don't compare traumas. You don't compare tragedies.
no.
It's really, and when it hits this close to home, you can see it's rattling you. It's scary. It's absolutely terrifying. We have interior fires all the time, every summer. The sky's filled with smoke. We always, it just because of global like climate
Mm-hmm.
change and wind. It's the biggest transfer of fires and not being able to control them. And we
Mm-hmm.
have mass bodies of water around everywhere, and it's still really hard to keep on top of, right? Places have burnt down. It's absolutely terrifying. But when you have um again, Elon Musk and his comments and Trump, it's just, again, we're just living in the twilight zone. It's absolute absurdity. And I mean, are you surprised, really?
Honestly, in a way, the things that I'm surprised about, I guess most, I know people because of COVID, this lack of compassion and empathy and all that. But the people that are like, one, just because Trump hates California, you've never been here. You don't know. Or you come here on vacation all the time. I mean, this is like
I
a
think
huge vacation spot. And
everybody's
then,
suffering
yeah,
from
and then to turn around and say the things that people say, I get it. You're hiding behind your keyboard, but basically saying, fuck you, people. You deserve
oh,
this.
well, this is again, but a lot of the people that are being affected by it are celebrity status, multi-million billionaires. And so there is going to be very little empathy from the main, like the regular people who have to struggle and who do struggle and who never, they're just not going to be able to wrap their heads around, well, they've got the money to go, like you said, right? It's not even about the money. It's not depending on who it is. When we're talking about a person such as yourself who's blue collar, okay, you're not a celebrity, you're not a multi-billionaire or millionaire, and your home has so much history and it's your life. We're talking about your
Mhm.
identity, everything there. And that loss of that is horrific and tragic. People can relate to that. But most people are seeing the Palisades, Celebrity Central, who gives a fuck? They can rebuild it.
Mhm.
And, now, well, at least they get to suffer. I've suffered my whole life. Now
Yeah.
that this is what they're thinking. Now, is it right? No, not at all. I mean, there's still people and they still are losing their homes and they're still being affected and nobody should suffer. No, like no one should. No one
Well, when
should.
you think about though, thousands of homes,
Mhm.
we're not all celebrities here.
No, no, no. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Again,
But
but what's being publicized
is
is
celebrities, yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis losing her house, Billy
Paris
Crystal,
Hilton.
Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, fuck you. You are wealthy and you can build another one. I don't feel sorry for you. That's where they're lacking their compassion and their empathy.
Yeah.
But they're missing the thousands of people who are not those people that
Yep.
are affected. Now, if it wasn't around any sort of celebrity, anything, you wouldn't be getting the rhetoric that
Well,
you're getting.
they're forgetting the Eaton fire. The Eaton fire, those were not, yes, there were some celebrities because celebrities live pretty much all over. But
Yeah.
the Eaton fire, normal
And
people, typical people that
I know.
have lived there for a very long time. And
Mhm.
to anybody that has lost their house,
Mhm.
anybody that has lost their home, that lost their life, their loved ones,
Mhm.
whether they're celebrity or not, to say you deserve to suffer.
Well, to desert, no, there's no, this is again, but you're taking
Yeah.
people and they're, of course, the shitty people of the world or the US or whoever, and they're capitalizing on this. Whereas 90% of people around the world and in other countries and even in the US, their hearts are going out to everybody in California. Jamie Lee Curtis did a thing on one of the night, what do you call it, night shows. I don't know, was it
Like Jimmy
Fallon?
Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel or something like that. Yeah.
Somebody like that, a Kimmel Fallon, I'm not sure who it was, but she just says, I have to fly back tomorrow. I flew out for this show, but the Palisades are burning down right now. And you could see, and she says a part of the relief fund, if you can get out there and do this, and she's an advocate. And it was very, you could see how emotionally affected she was. And again, it doesn't matter about any of this other stuff. People are people, but they're going to focus on just because of that. Again, take the celebrity stuff out of it, and people probably wouldn't, other than the fact that people are psycho. And just because California is a blue state, they're going to throw their hate and be like, oh, you deserve it. Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's turned
Mm-hmm.
political. And people aren't, they're losing sight of humanity. Everything's turned political.
I know that politics has been a part of life since before we were born
Yeah.
and to different degrees. But in all of my years, do not ever remember. Our last biggest fire that I can remember was 2019 here. And I don't
Mhm.
remember it ever being politicized, ever. I
Yeah.
don't remember any president and who was the president then? Trump.
Right.
But I
There
think
we
he did tell Newsom at the time that he wasn't going to give us funds, but he still did because he's had a beef with California. And this is the thing, too. He said, I am so familiar with that area, and Beverly Hills is totally decimated. Dude, Beverly Hills is not near. I mean, it's around, but Beverly Hills is nowhere in danger from the Palisades fire. Excuse me, the Palisades fire.
Oh, people don't know their demographics and their geography and their
No,
topography.
and neither does he. But
Yep.
he's saying, I know it very well. And so people are listening to him. And it is, anybody who tells me this is not a fucking cult, go fuck yourself. Sorry, but it is a fucking cult.
Mhm.
It is the things that you see, and I don't know how much in Canada that you guys see. I don't know how many people like in my neighborhood stuff. I know there's a lot of people who they don't even live in California and they're on those groups just shit talking California. It's like you don't live here, leave. Why are you in this group? So I don't know if those groups are in Canada too, because I don't know how much is the
Well,
same.
we don't have the quite the level of the divide, right? So, um, and I mean, there's stupid people are everywhere, really. But I will say this. I will say this. With the recent bullshit about Trump's view in Canada becoming the 51st state, if that ever happened, which it can't and it won't, because there's absolutely no possible fucking way on this planet, even Trudeau, who has been the worst prime minister we've pretty much ever had, said it's a snowball's throw in hell or something that would ever happen. Like it's just not ever going to happen. We would be a fucking blue state.
Oh,
So
the
yeah, how does
the
that work for you,
a
Trump?
big blue state.
You get the biggest because our landmass is twice the size of the US. We
Yeah.
have way more fucking land. Yeah, it would be all blue. And then how's that going to work for you to get reelected and keeping the Republican
Yeah.
Conservative Party won't?
So that would be great, actually. But I don't know the titles and stuff like NP or NP or something. There was
Well, the
like,
NPD, you've got the NPD, we've got the Liberal Party, we've got the Conservative Party, and we have the Green Party. And our politics are different. We elect a prime minister and we have our House of Commons and you have to win seats and it's different. And then we have a minority government and a leading. So it's complicated, just like it is within the US, but we don't have just two parties. We have four. And so, but the two leading parties that have been going at it for as long as we have has always been liberal and basically Democrats and Republicans. It's the same thing. It's conservative versus liberal. And then years and years ago, there was NDP, which is all for union, and our economy doesn't do very well when the NDP gets in. So Green Party just doesn't have the infrastructure or the structure to be able to run ever. And people who hate all the other parties will vote green, knowing that it's not going to go anywhere, right? So yeah, we don't have it's just very different, but we don't mix church and state. Again, our Liberal Party, as fucked up as Trudeau has really fight, and there's a lot of people in Canada that love Trump. It's disgusting, but 90%, other than the Albertans, who are the Texas of Canada, would never would are very much cannot believe what's happening down south. And no, I would be moving to Europe if we became part of the US. There's no fucking way. I'd be the gun. My life would go from relaxed and calm to fucking fear, terrified.
speaking of politics, Texas, or speaking of Texas, Abbott, who I cannot stand, he sent firefighters to
Mhm.
California.
Because there's people that are again
They don't,
human condition and
right,
mankind and
supersedes politics.
supersedes politics and
Supposed to.
hate politics drive because again at the end of the day it's a tragedy and it's an emergency and people should the human race needs to band together to support one another, but when you get dictators like Trump, like Hitler, like Putin, like fucking whoever in history running a country and you mix all this bullshit in there with religion, guess what you get? All humanity goes right out the window. Nobody cares about human life. They don't empathize. They don't, nothing.
Some woman politician from Canada, from your area, I believe. I think she's British Columbia, but I don't know if who she was, but she said California, Oregon, Washington, you're free to join us. We'll even take Bernie Sanders off your hands in the state of Vermont. We'll take all the blue
Was
states.
that Christy Clark?
I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember seeing her. Does she have blonde hair?
No. Well, we've got Bonnie Henry, who's our medical, like she's our what do you call it? Our during COVID, she's the one that
Oh, okay, public health person.
health, yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember who she was actually, but she's somebody in Canadian politics, and she.
Krista Freeland, who just stepped down, and she's our finance minister.
Oh,
She just basically quit under Trudeau, and now Trudeau has to step down. He has no choice. So we
yeah,
have
I saw
no
that.
prime minister. We do, but I mean, really, it's about re-electing a liberal candidate until we have the election next year in October. Otherwise, you can call an election at any time because we can do that as a country. We can call an election at any time.
Which seems so weird to me. Like when I see all these things, it's like they called an election. Why?
Yeah.
Because you
Well,
might
when
lose.
things aren't functioning and things aren't good, I mean, yeah, I just, as much as I really struggle with our country and our politics, I will say that between Polyev, who probably will get into power next year, and he's our conservative leader, who's a minor, he's mild Trump, not Trump, but obviously far more well-spoken. But versus who we've had, who's put the country into mass amounts of debt, but we've done some good things. Still, both are like, there's no fucking way. Like the fact that he would even state Canada becoming a 51st state and calling Governor Trudeau is all because it comes down to the tariff fight. And it's about tariffs and not wanting to pay. It's a bargaining tool. He's doing it because he doesn't want to negotiate the tariffs. This is a way to negotiate. Well, we'll just make Canada part of the US.
Why does
Um,
it not say her? It says a prominent Canadian party leader has issued an open invitation to Oregon, Washington, and California. Oh, here it is. Want to link up, eh? The remarks were made, just possibly in jest, by Canada's Green Party leader Elizabeth May during a
oh,
press
Elizabeth
conference in
May. Yeah.
Ottawa.
She's great. Elizabeth May is great, but she's Green Party. And again, Greens will never get in. I went to high school with one of a strong Green Party leader on Vancouver Island, Adam Olson, and I went to high school with him, and he's a brilliant guy. And he runs the Green Party on the island, but the Greens just don't have the structure. It's too bad because if they did and they had the power, they would do great things. But no, it's and again a little bit more complicated. We have four parties, but yeah, Elizabeth May is great. Adam Olson's great. Green Party leaders are great. They just have they'll never have a place in, they might win a seat or two in the House of Commons, right?
Yeah.
But that's it. They're not a minority government or a overall, no. So, but yeah, it's just interesting. Trump's his rationale for things. It all comes down to negotiations. He's a negotiator. He
And
is, he's
people,
been one for a bazillion years. Yeah.
yeah, and people will and people do. And I don't understand this. I don't understand. Just like he's going to take over Greenland. So now
No, he can't.
Greenland,
He
no,
can't. He can't. This is all him talking out his ass because
yes.
he's a delusional fucking moron. Again, a narcissist. What is a narcissist? Somebody that does it. The definition of a personality disorder. They have a very
Fixed.
delusional
Yeah.
and distorted view of themselves on the inside and the external world around them. Everything is distorted. It's his distorted way he sees, and then he verbalizes it, looks like a fucking fool, and doesn't even see it. Again, it can't happen. It just can't.
But the sad thing is people cater to him. People will either say it's just words, it's never going to happen, he's not going to do it, but nobody challenges him. Like I know the president of Mexico, because she's a Jewish woman, love that. But the president of Mexico was doing some kind of press conference and had the map of Mexico from 1700s, 1600s, whenever, and it called America Mexicana America or something like that. So she's saying, hey, if you're going to want to call it the Gulf of Mexico, or Gulf of America, we're going to call you Mexicana America or Americana Mexico or whatever the old Mexican word was for the United
Right.
States.
How about the Gulf of America? That's a good
Stupidest
one.
thing. It's like, and then he's like, he has a mandate from the American people. No, you fucking don't have a
No,
mandate to do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, this makes me, another reason this makes me so angry and I'm so passionate about it is because I have had clients that have had to evacuate and I don't know if they're okay. because I'm
No,
not going to text them if they're in the middle of shit. You
yeah, of course.
know, I will find out. I have been dealing with not just clients calling me, but people that I am in, like, I got a message of somebody that in one of my groups that they were all by themselves. She doesn't know what to do. It's, she's here. And what if she has to evacuate? She has no idea. She's an older woman. She's got health issues. And so in my group, they were saying, can somebody help her? And I'm like, I'm a psychologist. I will help her. And
Yeah.
I talked to her. She's like, do you take Medicare? And I'm like, I'm just going to talk to you. This is not an official therapy session with notes and stuff. As a friend, acquaintance, whatever, as a fellow
Human
person in
being.
Los Angeles, I want to help you. So
Yeah.
I've been talking
That's
per
where that's where it should go. As human beings, you don't
yeah,
look to capitalize on people's tragedy and people's pain
no.
and like suffering. As much as people can say, well, if you've got mental health issues, you're suffering. When it comes to emergency
Crisis.
situations, crisis, you offer
Yeah.
a soul and a heart and a lending hand, right? Like that's what humanity is all about, and it should be. But again, when you get a psychopath in power and
Who's
running the
making it
country,
worse? That's the thing.
opiates.
My clients are calling me with panic attacks. I'm helping people with panic. This man.
Mental health is going to get worse in the US when he's running due to, again, you already are a country that their whole foundation is based on fear. You have no gun laws, no gun control. People live in fear. They have been for centuries, and it will not change. See,
Mhm.
this is, again, as a Canadian, I'm just south of the border of you, and I would be absolutely fucking terrified if we became part of the US. I would be moving to Europe, just based on your gun laws alone.
Mhm.
Just based on your gun law. I have 3 children. There's
Yeah.
absolutely no way in hell I would ever, ever live in the US due to the lack of gun control and the stupidity and the ignorance and the arrogance and the downright absurdity of the NRA having more
The
power than the US government.
like one guy said, I can't wait for January 20th. He'll make this all go away. And it's like, how? How is he going to
Going
make
to make what go away?
natural disasters, hurricane force winds?
Because
He
these
doesn't even believe
people,
in fucking global warming and
this is
climate
the
change.
problem. The people that are believing that think it's government controlled. So they're just going to make it go away because they're delusional. It's no better. You might as well get a bunch of personality disordered people to follow you in power because you're fucking absolutely not even on the same planet of reality. You
He,
guys are
he
all detached from reality completely.
he did say way back when, it's on video, it's on audio, it's in print. Way back before he started running, he said he was changing from Democrat to Republican because Republicans are stupid. He said
Exactly.
that.
Bingo, bingo. All
And
of them
it's
will only see
true.
what they will want to see. Again, Jody, as a psychologist, and then myself as a therapist who work with a whole gamut of mental health issues and people and their struggles. I mean, this is what we do. Who are the most frustrating to deal with?
You mean like personality disorders or
Personality disorders are the most because they don't
yeah,
see that they have them.
yeah.
You're trying to talk. I have a client right now.
Cluster B is the
I would say
worst though, because there's three
I should say
clusters.
yeah, okay, there's well, cluster A has its challenges, but
Yeah, but
cluster B tend to be the dramatic. But I will say, I have a client over in Europe right now, and I've been for 2 years. There's absolutely no point in telling her what she has because she'll refuse to see it anyway. And the delusion, and yet she's constantly in fucking crisis, and yet she doesn't think she has a problem. And it's like, oh my God, like it is so frustrating. And how do you help a person like that? Can't. If
no,
there's
you just
no way of them to have any level of introspection. So again, this is what we're dealing with when it
yeah.
comes to politics in the US. You were dealing with a population of people who are so fucking delusional and so brainwashed and will see only what they want to see and will not even absolutely without question think that reality might have something to play in all of this rather than their own distorted beliefs. They
And
believe what they believe is to be true.
and the scary thing is, again, is they're all they're doing is parroting his talking points. When
I
you
know.
talk to them, it's as if they're just and they're regurgitating what he said. And what's kind of scary is their answer to so many things too is getting a gun, getting a gun, get a gun.
I
And
can't even. It is so infuriating. I'm like, you guys are dumber than fuck. I'm sorry. You are being laughed at by the entire world. I had somebody say to me, actually, a friend of mine yesterday, I came back from a little bit of a vacation, and she actually works for the Liberal Party. Okay, so we were talking politics a lot because she is very heavy into Canadian politics up here. But she also knows, she's like, I can't, Marjorie Taylor Greene came up, and or whatever the fuck her name is, and Trump, and she's just like, oh my God, oh my God. And talking to my friend's husband, and he's like, how? How is it that Elon Musk and Trump and these multi-billionaires make themselves look so outwardly fucking stupid, and yet they don't see it? I'm like, because that is the definition of a personality disorder. They don't care how dumb they look. They don't think that they're dumb, yet they are seen
Mhm.
by neurotic people, which is considered neurotypical, as fucking dumb.
It's interesting too for people who have no empathy for celebrities losing their home, but they are sucking the teat, if you will, of billionaires.
Of billionaires. I know, but this is again the irony of how brain that they're not educated and smart, common, like I don't want to mean academia smart. I mean just common fucking
Street
sense.
smart. I mean, come on, you've got the richest man in the world. Oh, but you know what he did? He donated some cyber trucks so that people can have power and internet. Your home burned down. Where the fuck are you gonna, what are you gonna
Yeah.
power if you have nothing?
Nothing.
So, and you know what he did? The cyber trucks weren't just donated, they were taken from people who already ordered and paid for them.
Yeah.
So he said, you guys have to wait because we're giving your stuff to them. It's like,
That don't clearly will have no use for it because they have no home.
no.
He
So we're
again,
gonna like park
bummer
it
than
in
here.
front of the sheriff's station so that we can power the sheriff's station because they lost power.
As soon as I hear people talking about how the government is controlling natural disasters and weather, I just literally want to slit my wrists. I'm
Okay,
like, I
I asked someone this question and they called me a MAGA. And I'm like, I am so not a Trump supporter that I need to go now take a shower just to scrub off the assumption that you thought I was. But I said, well, someone said we need rain, rain. And I said, well, supposedly Biden cloud seeded to make the horrible hurricanes in the South. So maybe he can, like cloud seed now.
because you were being sarcastic
Yeah, I
and
put eye rolls and all of that, and I got yelled
and
at. So
somebody can't even pick up on your sarcasm.
I edited my post to say, in case you didn't know the eye rolls, like so and so there, I put his name. Let me explain that it's sarcasm. And people are like, how did you not get that? But it's like the government, just like Alex Jones, it's this whole conspiracy to destabilize this, that, and the other. It's a fucking climate change.
Yeah, it is.
People building, and a lot of those homes were built in almost 100 years ago, so they're not built to the same codes.
Oh, of course not.
So it's like, pull your heads out of your ass. No, I'm sorry, pull your heads out of Trump and Musk's asses.
Yeah, yeah.
And the thing is, I did read this, and it does make sense that a lot of, for example, why the evangelicals voted for him is because a lot of the men especially, don't want to think, don't want to do anything. They want someone to do it for them.
Mm. And
And
it's,
so they're letting him think for them. Yeah.
you know, again,
I I don't know. I am at this loss because I don't want it to encompass my life, but I'm not going to ignore it either. And it's hard to find a balance
I
with
bet it is.
him,
I bet it is.
because
Well, again, you're in a blue state and you're very democratic, and what do you do without it consuming your life and consuming your world, but you're in amongst it all. And honestly, Joes, I don't know how you do it. As a Canadian, I would probably move. I don't know how I would even stay living, but I mean, a lot of people don't have that option. What do you do? And so what do you do? And again,
yeah.
not allowing it to encompass everything and take over your life.
I thank God that I live in California. And I really get scared thinking, oh my God, what happens if when Gavin Newsom's time is up, Banda, Banda, Banta, our Attorney General, I think it is going to run, which I really like him. But it's
Mhm.
like, we've had Republican governors before.
I know. It's
Now
really,
if we have a
I think,
Republican governor,
honestly, to all of, well, the entire world, but I should say mostly within the US and US citizens who are not in favor of your new president-elect, and the world is not in favor of your president-elect, but is that lovely word, as we've talked about in other podcasts, radical acceptance. You can't change it.
no.
And there's nothing you can do. It's literally you can only change and worry about how you respond and what you decide to take on versus what you have no control over. And I think that is it gives you a peace of mind or a sense of peace when you neutralize it. I mean, it is infuriating, but it's like they constantly are making this rhetoric to push buttons. It's to get a reaction. So like a narcissist, what do? Cancel, clear, delete. Render
Yeah.
them insignificant, right? And I think maybe that might help with some people. Just render them insignificant.
Every you see this everywhere out here or in California at least, whatever, that it's he hasn't even taken office yet and has created such a shitstorm
Mhm.
around the world, not
Yeah,
just here,
yeah,
that
around.
come Monday,
Mhm.
I mean, it honestly, I want him to do a good job because why would I not? This is my country. I want it to thrive. Do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely 100% equivocal. No. But I'm not wishing for him to fail, you know? But if it were not such that the fuck around and find out movement affects everybody else, it
Mhm.
is pretty funny watching all of these people that voted for him now, especially like with the H-1Bs and stuff saying, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, that's not what you said. And it's like, the fact that you believed him in the first place, you're a fucking idiot, and now you
And
fucked around,
he's not even in until the
and we're all
20th.
finding out.
Exactly. Well,
So
that's exactly it. Of course you'd want, because again, it's your country, right? And that's the hard thing about patriotism and politics and that your government. And as much as people want to be able to radically accept it is what it is, it's pretty hard. That's pretty hard to do, right? Because your livelihood is so drastically affected by it. Everything is affected by it.
especially in mental health,
Yes, I know.
because you get people that are, especially since the election,
Mhm.
I've been dealing with a lot of people, especially women, but a lot of people who are not okay.
No,
And
no.
it's going to be a long 4 years. And I know this sounds a bit dramatic, but I pray we make it through.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh, well, I know that's all you can do is pray to make it through. And I mean, who knows what's going to happen, right? I mean, he's convicted. Didn't he get his sentencing dealt out or something?
Oh yeah, but it was a little bit of a, it's going to be on your, it's like on your permanent record at school. It's going to be on your permanent record, but that's it.
Yeah, you don't go to jail. You don't serve jail time. That's a fucking joke.
Okay. That's the thing. It's all a fucking joke. And since he's in office and he doesn't get sentenced, then guess what? It's all a witch hunt, all his followers, all of that he's saying. And his lawyer told Jack, was it Jack Smith? No, his lawyer told the lawyer who sentenced him that I'm sorry, the judge that sentenced him that he better lawyer up because they're coming after him after the 20th.
Hmm.
I would get popcorn and just watch all day if it didn't affect every fucking thing in this world almost because he seems to have his shit everywhere and just smears it.
And spears it. That's exactly what it does. That's a good analogy.
Reminds me
Uh,
of an inmate.
no, I get. Oh, totally. He is brutal. He's just a bit, again, the most brutal, insane thing that's happened and I swear to God, in our history of this planet. Nothing more absurd has happened with a leader other
Marsh,
than
sorry.
the cruelty of what's happened in history, even Hitler was better spoken than this fucking fool by quite a bit.
Marjorie Taylor Greene said there's gonna be a divorce between the red and the blue. Write those fucking papers up, please. Write them up. File them. File the papers. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure the blue states will sign amicably.
yeah. She needs to go.
I would love for a divorce. I really would. I would love
Mhm.
to secede. I would love our funded, federally funded fucking red states to have to figure out what they're going to do without California's money.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Thank you for letting me get this out because it has been building up with everything that I see. And I
Yeah.
know it's hard to understand. And again, my heart goes out to these people. I am not trying to say that woe is me, this happened. What I'm saying is if you lived here, you lived through it. Fight or flight, the hypervigilance and all of that. So it's affected so many people, not just the people that have had to leave their homes and lose their homes. So, but I'm
Mhm.
not trying to make it an equivalent at all because it's not the trauma Olympics. Nobody wants to win the tragedy Olympics. I don't, unless they're histrionic, but nobody wants to win the tragedy Olympics.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just saying that again for people, well, you didn't have to evacuate, you didn't lose your house. We still went through it. And so hearing and seeing all of this stuff affects us too.
Of course it does. Of course it does. It hits very close to home. And I think
Yeah.
anybody that's within the vicinity of you or people that are watching this that are within the vicinity will be able to empathize with you
Yeah.
deeply, as should everybody else around the world, but especially those that live close to you.
And again, we have another red fire warning. And sadly, it scares me because arsonists, because that's who did all the little fires. They're thinking we're arson.
Probably. Sick.
So I am concerned. I'm more concerned than I've ever been in the wind.
Mhm.
But hopefully, you know, and thanks to all the firefighters. Oh my God. And then there's people, why aren't they doing this? What? Shut the fuck up. You're not here. You're not fighting the fire. Shut the fuck up. Why aren't they doing?
Right. That's right. Of
They couldn't run the aircraft at night in the wind with no visibility.
course
Why
not.
didn't they do it?
People,
And
people,
because
people
Trump
need to
was,
people need to shut up. If you're
yeah.
not out there fighting a fire and doing the work that they're doing, stop talking.
What I think is really nice, I want to end on a positive note. If this is true, and I have no reason to believe it's not, I see it everywhere. People getting donations and stuff and bringing them to the fire departments and to the rescue places, the evacuation centers. And someone posted that one evacuation center said they are full. They don't need any more stuff. They've got a ton of it. To now they need like monetary donations.
Right.
And so they said, okay, we'll take it to another one. They said, I was just at another one. We are all full. Don't stop donating. I'm not telling people if you're donating, please keep donating. But they're like, we have clothes, we have this. Now we start needing money
Hmm.
because people have, and again, I'm ending on a positive, people have rallied. The non-assholes have rallied and come together and have donated supplies, food,
Of
all
course
of
they have.
that.
Yeah.
And yeah. And I
Yeah.
know the firemen come and shop at my store. They eat at the In-N-Out that my son and I go to. So we see the firemen. We were eating sushi one day after a fire, and I regretted not paying for their dinner. If I see firemen out and about, I am going to pay for their dinner, somehow reward them because they're awesome.
Yeah.
They're just, they had inmates, thousands of inmates. CDCR sent thousands of inmates to fight the fire. Mexico, Canada, um, Oklahoma, Texas, Washington, Oregon, Arizona, Nevada. And here he is dissing these people, disrespecting them so much.
Yeah.
But they're out there all coming together for California, for Los Angeles.
Mhm.
And so that is what I have to try to siphon out the shit.
That's right. And hold on to that because
Yeah.
that's the truth. And
Yeah.
that always will create more strength in the end. The good wins, right?
That is the hope.
That
So
is the
on that note, thank you so much again for letting me vent this out. like, subscribe. We hit 700 subscribers. I can't wait to see if we get to 1,000. I know it's a ways away, but that was exciting hitting 700. So again, like, subscribe, share, comment. If you have comments, and I am being very sincere, if you have nasty comments and you want to play Tragedy Olympics, do not leave your comments. Please. Those are not welcome. We don't need those.
No.
But comment. You have our email, wcwycw1@gmail.com. And hopefully everything will go smoothly. No more fires. And we will be back.
Yes, 100%. My heart is with you, Jodes. Hang in there.
Take care.
Bye.